As most of you know by now, the Lego movie directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller are preparing to direct a still untitled Star Wars Anthology film about Han Solo. What we still don't know is what the film will be about or who will play the role made iconic by Harrison Ford. However, in a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy gave us some insight into what we can expect the film to focus on and what age Han Solo will be in the new films. Kennedy said the following: "We don't want to spend time going back and answering a lot of questions that, quite frankly, I don't think people want answered. I think the key here is that we are identifying an event or events in Han Solo's life that gives you some idea of who he is and why he is the character we have all known to love. You can imagine, given who we've chosen to come in and direct, it should be very entertaining and funny. Han Solo is the character inside Star Wars that everybody knows has a wit and a sense of humor. So that's what this should be. He'll definitely be probably in the high teens, low 20s. We're not introducing you to a 10-year-old Han Solo." John, what are your thoughts on Kennedy's comments?
There are several things that I really like about her comments. But first of all, let me preface this by saying something everybody already knows. I don't like that they're doing a Han Solo movie. Don't get me wrong, it's Star Wars, so I'm going to be their opening day, and I'll probably giggle like a little boy and have a really great time at it. But I don't like that Star Wars continues to make their universe smaller and going back to characters we already know and whatever. But she said a couple of very key things here that I like. And one of them goes to why I don't want a Han Solo movie. She says, we don't want to answer questions that people don't want answered. That's part of the reason why I don't want you doing a Boba Fett movie. Just keep the mystery of Boba Fett. But I do like that she's aware of that. Like, guess what? They unveiled the mystery of Darth Vader, and it kind of ruined Darth Vader in many ways. Like, that's why we just shut out the prequels from our minds. But you know, the fact that she's aware of this and they're operating understanding that gives me some hope. I also was wondering if they might go Harry Potter with Han Solo. I really did. I thought there might be a chance they would do that. I'm very relieved that they're not. Late teens, early 20s. This is also good because it puts us in a different age range for Han Solo than he was in the original Star Wars. So hopefully we won't be comparing whoever's got to play him now to Harrison Ford, because that's a losing fight. So I like the comments, actually. If they are going to do a Han Solo movie, it sounds like they're taking the right approach. I don't know, Roth, what do you think?
I'm so lost in thinking about like Han with a wand going, "You shot first, Harry," you know?
Shot first, Harry.
That's sort of like where my head is at right now. I'm like, I don't know. I kind of love it. I think this is great, and I agree with you. To see a little kid, although it would be interesting to do a Star Wars family film. I mean, not that they're not all family films, you know, but it would be interesting to sort of see what they did if they were able to attack that in a way that worked versus what we've seen previously, which was trying to attack that in a way that didn't work. I don't know if that's really making any sense, but I like that he's a little bit older. I do have questions about doing a Han Solo film because I don't know that anybody but this man captures that character. You know, he changed so much of what was on the page. He embodied him, you know, he gave him lines, those iconic lines, "I know." That's all Harrison Ford. Yeah. So who do you find that can bring that same energy to it? I don't know. So that's sort of what I think is the biggest challenge. In terms of what they're going to attack story-wise, what made him him? Is he kind of a good guy turned bad?
See, I know. I think or a bad guy turned good. I think this is pure speculation, not based on anything. Okay, I think it will be whatever moment he and Chewie meet. I think now the in the expanded universe and in the urban legends of Star Wars, you know, Han freed Chewie from an Imperial slave camp, and you know, according to Wookiee rule, he now has a life debt to Han. And if you're asking me, like, what event changed the course of Han's life, I think I can think of two things. One, coming into contact with Chewbacca and becoming that lifelong bond with Chewbacca. Second is when he gets the Millennium Falcon. And I don't think they're going to have him get the Millennium Falcon that young. So I'm thinking it's going to be the Chewbacca thing. Quick, fun piece of trivia. Who was the leading guy expected to get the role of Han Solo before it went to Harrison Ford? Anyone?
I don't know.
Kurt Russell.
Oh my God.
David, your thoughts on Kennedy?
Wait a minute.
That just kind of blew my mind.
Let's all pause to honor the greatest, not actual action hero fighter like a Bruce Lee, but the greatest one-line pithy action hero of all time, the great Kurt Russell. Continue.
He's still with us, though.
Yeah,
he's still with us. Let's be clear. He's got a movie coming out.
Yeah. Everything about this sounds really interesting. I'm curious to see how they're gonna cast Han Solo. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing because, I mean, he's got to embody Harrison Ford. Now, hopefully, you hear most actors when they go into a role that's going to be this big and this crucial, they won't be a copycat. Not going to like look at Harrison Ford films and be like, okay, I need to be him. Hopefully, they'll take on, bring their own aura to the film, but it's going to be tough because they're going to cast older. Like think about Catch Me If You Can with Leo. Leo was 28 years old back in 2002 when he did that film, and he was in high school in the beginning of it. So they're going to go older, or you think they're going to cast maybe more around 19 or 20 years of age?
Well, here you bring up an interesting thing that is a dilemma for them. See, a lot of times when you have somebody coming in who's going to play a character that somebody else made iconic, whether they're a new James Bond or something along those lines, often it's because it's a new incarnation or it's a reboot or it's a retelling or a restarting of a franchise. No, Harrison Ford is still playing Han Solo.
Right.
And this is still the same timeline. This is still the same guy. So whoever you're getting to play him also has to be believable that this is the same guy we meet in episode 4 in that cantina a few years later. So it almost becomes incumbent upon them, unlike in a lot of other situations you were pointing out, that you do got to pull off a damn good Harrison Ford imitation.
And he's got to kind of look like him a little bit because from 20 to, what was he, in his mid-30s when he shot Star Wars? So it's like you don't change, you change, but not that much. You're like a whole new person when you're 34 years old.
He does have to look like, and I think you almost have to get an unknown. You have to have a blank slate to some degree, or as unknown as humanly possible. Let me say
Matthew
this.
McConaughey.
Obviously, the continuation of the McConaughey.
In the Lincoln.
Have it be, what's Kurt Russell's son name? He's the hockey player.
Oh, I totally forget.
Get him. Let history repeat itself. I think this is my final thoughts. I love the Chewie idea, but what I meant by good guy turned bad is that he was a scoundrel when we met him, and he turned into a good guy. So what if he was a good guy and then something happened to sort of like create a scoundrel out of him? I don't know. But I love the Chewie idea, and let us not forget that Lord and Miller can do anything, in my opinion. They can make any idea work.
And I like that they're going for fun and entertainment because look, if you look at the core of Han Solo, that's what it is. Because I admit at first, Lord and Miller, who I think just everything they touch turns to gold right now, when I first heard them attached to Star Wars, I'm like, them doing a Star Wars film? And it gave me pause for a second, but then I stopped and thought, well, who's Star Wars film it? Han Solo. Yeah. Like if this was like, for instance, a Vader standalone film, no, I don't want Lord and Miller directing this film. If this was a Tarkin standalone film, no, I don't want Lord and Miller doing this. If it was an Uncle Owen standalone film, no, I do not want, but Han Solo or Lando.
Right.
Han Solo or Lando, Lord Miller would knock out of the park.
A Lando film.
I know, right? That could be totally
awesome.
slick.
Right now they're doing a Lando comic book series at Marvel. So I mean, the thing is, I think we forget how funny those original movies were. There's a lot of great humor in there. So I think Lord Miller going to be great for that.
Wyatt Russell, by the way. Everybody wanted.